Kia ora and welcome into the Dream Realm Masterclass. I'm so excited to be sharing this wisdom and this information with you, especially because it has a really personal, profound experience in my own life. As you'll come to see as I share about the dream realm, I've used it to support myself, my family members, my friends, my children, and also my business, which has been a big success for me this year. And the dream realm has absolutely been a part of it. So I hope that through this class, it gives you the opportunity to see how your spirit and your subconscious is trying to communicate and connect with you all the time. So before we start, I invite you to get cozy and comfortable. If that means getting yourself a cup of tea or even resting in your bed space, please be wherever you feel the call. Now, of course, if you are joining us in the replay, know that this information is timeless. And if you can, for some reason, I feel intuitively called to invite you to listen to this while you're moving your body. This could be going for a walk or doing some stretching before bed. That just helps us integrate the information a little bit more. So, welcome into the Dream Realm space. Before I begin, I want to remind you how important your intuition is. There's a really special reason why you've been called into the space with us today. And so I invite you to take everything that feels good and supportive and uplifting for your relationship with your dream and your life. And if there's anything that does not serve you or anything that does not resonate, please, I invite you to lovingly leave it at my table. Auntie will take care of it. I will give it back to the earth and we'll make sure that whatever information feels good for you, you can take it and integrate it in your path. So, for today, before I do begin, it's really important that we do our acknowledgements to country and, of course, acknowledgement to your guides, your tupuna, your ancestors, and whoever has guided you here. When we are working in the spirit realm, it's not just you and I who make the decision to be here, but it's also whoever's guiding you in spirit, whether that be your higher self or those who came before you, or your angels, or the divine itself. And so I always take a moment to acknowledge all of that. So before we begin, if you want to deepen this practice, I just invite you to close down your eyes for a moment. Really allowing yourself to imagine that you're leaving anything that happened today, just leaving that at the door. Imagining that you're just surrendering that so you can become fully present. I want to just invite you to just settle your logical mind by slowing down your breath. And I want to firstly open our space by taking a moment to pay our respects to the elders, the Indigenous owners of the land, and using the strength of all of those that guide us in spirit. I'm going to pay our respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. And set the intention that with any healing that comes through today's space, that we use that to support the land that we are on. I'm going to take a moment to acknowledge the Yagara people, the owners of the land that I am blessed to be joining you from. And I invite you to just acknowledge the soil of the earth beneath you, maybe even just the floor of your home. Taking a moment to connect into the trees around your property or the trees that you can see. And really anchoring into the energy that surrounds you, the supportive energy of nature that's always available to you. And we're going to simply ask the spirits of the land, or even just the spirit of the land itself that we are sitting on, to help you feel grounded, centered, safe, and connected as we move through our class today. Really helping your physical body being the landing space for any of the energy that is going to be supportive of your highest path, supportive of your highest good. And if you want to, and if you have this connection, I'd love to open space for you to call your familiar guides to join you in the space today. For me, this is my Nana. I like to call on the presence of angels. And so I invite you to call whoever is a guide or protecting you or keeping you safe to energetically create a really beautiful space for you to connect even deeper to your intuition, to connect even deeper to yourself and help you come into the alignment of the energy of light. My loves, I'm going to set a strong intention that with any information that we bring through the portal of healing this evening, that it is used for the highest good, for you and those you love, and maybe even those you serve. I set the intention that through this portal of healing, we receive the exact messages that you came here for. And using this really powerful circle of energy that's now being created by the land, by yourself, and by those who you called in to support you. I'd like to simply move into that energy of gratitude, taking a moment to thank you for trusting me, taking a moment to thank you for trusting the call into this space. Taking a moment here to really feel that energy of gratitude. And even if you are open, bringing into your awareness a couple things that you're grateful for that's in your life in this present moment. It may be family or your job, the food that you ate today, the clothes that you're wearing. The more we can solidify this energy of gratitude before we move into this space, the more likely it will be that we take the information that will be supportive of this.
No.
And so just taking a couple of deep breaths to really feel solid, feel really solid in this grounding. And before we move into the space, I want you to anchor into one feeling. This feeling may be that sense of gratitude that we just spoke about. Maybe it's contentment or peace. And we want to create this as the baseline of the energy that we are receiving from our space tonight. And as you take a few deep breaths now, calling yourself fully into the present moment to receive, I invite you to just bring in a little bit of movement today, whether that's swaying from side to side or rolling your neck. And all we're doing with this is letting that energy land in our physical body. For me, I feel called to place my hands over my heart and letting your body melt here. I'm going to seal our intention and our acknowledgement today with an kia kia amini. And of course, when you're ready, if you haven't already, you can blink open your eyes. And just notice if you're feeling a little bit more relaxed or a little bit more centered. And I just want to thank you for being open to that practice before we jump into our information of the day. My movement. Put my clothes off center, so I'm just adjusting those. Okay. So, of course, I just want to start again with that gratitude. It's really important for me to make sure I am radiating in this energy. And so ngā mihi translates to thank you. And I wanted to share a little bit about my story and how I've used my dreams to explore my life more deeply and also exploring the spirit realm more deeply as well. For as long as I can remember, dreams have been a really important part of my life. And the very first dream that I can recall was actually a not very good dream. And so it took me a while to reclaim the importance of this space. But as I started to become more in touch with my intuition, naturally the dream realm opened, and I've used the space to support me in my own life. I'm very open about it. I've used it to support my own relationship. I've used it to improve my mothering journey. I knew my children were coming because I dreamt about them. I practiced lots of birth scenarios in my dreams. And so when I gave birth to my son and my daughter, I had already a clear vision of what I wanted. And more recently, as I touched on at the start, I've used it to navigate some challenges that have come up in my business and help me explore new creative projects and business projects that were coming up as well. Now, for me, I like to reflect on my dreams nearly every night. But since really trusting the dream realm, I haven't actually put much pressure on myself to do so. So, regardless of whether you're just at the beginning of your intuitive journey using your dreams, or if you're a seasoned dream realm expert, I know that these reminders are going to help you ground into the wisdom that is available here. I've been able to have prophetic dreams, predicting when things and events are going to take place. I've been able to pass on messages for people who've been unwell, and even help prepare for big life events like births, and even the passing of family members as well. Throughout the years, of course, I am not absent to very intense and heightened dream experiences. And so I show up here for you tonight authentically, not in a space of airy fairy, oh, the dreams, great place to take symbolism, but actually it can be a really big space emotionally. And so I hope that through today's information, I help you recenter into the power and the love and the light that's available here, just like I have multiple times as well. Know that this is an open book class, so I will keep the chat box open. So if you have any questions as we go through, please feel free to type them in the chat box as well, and I'll answer them if I see them. I believe you can raise your hand as well. So if you have an important question, feel free to just type it in there and I'll be able to answer it on the fly as well. Now, it's interesting, actually, 3 years ago, I announced for the first time on my Instagram that I was doing dream interpretations, and that was on the 17th of August, 2021. So that's exactly 3 years ago and one day. And so I thought that was a really interesting synchronicity. People have dreamt about me. I've dreamt about others. Somebody has randomly dreamt about me on the day that I messaged them. And so the dream realm is a really powerful space where we can connect to others energetically. And I know that through tonight, you'll be able to know how to do that as well. So that's a little bit of my story. And of course, now I practice as a psychic, a feminine healer, a spiritual mentor and coach, and a group mentorship space. And so in all of those things, I've used my dreams to help really anchor and center me. So I want to be really clear with the intentions. I kind of revisited them for us in our prayer, but this helps us make sure we're receiving really clear information from our guides. I'm actually starting to get super warm, which is usually a sign that the channel's starting to open and my forehead's getting itchy. So I wonder where you may be feeling a little bit of opening in your own physical body as well. But the intention is to create a really safe space to explore your dream realm, to create powerful foundations for psychic awareness, personal growth, and healing. As you would know from my personality online, fear is not the way I teach. Don't do this, you can only do this, only one way. That is not the kind of person I am. And so, like I said during our prayer, I want you to feel really connected to your intuition. And so if there's anything that feels great, perfect, keep moving with that, integrate that in ways that feel good. And if there's anything that doesn't sit quite right with you, you have full permission to leave that behind. Okay. I trust that you will take whatever feels healing and opening and expansive for you. So tonight we're going to be exploring things like personal and explorative case studies to build trust and awareness in your dreams. All this means is sharing some personal experiences that I've literally helped people, or also some big people in the science world who've used their dreams to explore real life issues as well. And that's just going to be a couple case studies to help you really anchor into the possibility that awaits here. Then we'll also be talking about how you can activate your dream realm for healing and growth, ways that you can sharpen your messages and get clearer messages from your dreams, your guides, and your your spirit team, whoever that may be, ways you can actually connect to your guides and receive that spiritual clarity. And also how to connect and reflect with others, how to successfully decode and understand your dreams, how you can deliver messages to people, which is really important as well, of knowing discernment of, do I pass on this information to somebody or not? And also some common themes and symbols that you'll often have show up as well. I've also got a list of some questions that some people have DM'd me from this class as well, and also just an open Q&A. So if there's any questions that you want to leave until the end, please do, because we may answer them at the end as well. Okay. So I'm just wanting to give you some space to tune in. If you've got a notebook, I actually invite you to just set a small intention. Now, like I said, I've got all my intentions. I've spoken really openly and clearly about who I want to be for you as a teacher and a guide in this space. But what is your intention? If you have your journal, you can jot it down really briefly in your book. If you want to even just close down for a moment, placing on your hand on your heart, and just asking yourself, what is my intention for tonight's space? Your intention could be something like, I want to learn how to use my dream realm for healing. Or maybe it could be as simple as, I want to feel more peaceful when I connect to my dreams. Or maybe even I want to be someone who delivers messages. There's no restraints on your intention tonight. It completely belongs to you. I want to understand my dreams. Whatever it is, bring that intention into the space and own that and claim that. And if you've already set your intention, or when you have, rub your hands together, imagining that the energy of your intention is charging the heat in your hands. And then I'm feeling called to place one of those warm hands on your crown and the other on your heart. Really opening your intention energetically. Okay, so that is us creating space to tune in. All right, now just waiting here for the next one. I'm gonna have a drink of water. Okay, so my personal belief is that it's both spiritual and also scientific as well. So as I've shared before on my Instagram, spiritualists do say that the dream realm is close to the spirit realm. Scientists say that it's close to the subconscious. And like I said just then, I do believe that it's close to both, and that it's actually a place where both our subconscious and our spirit meet together. Because when we're dreaming, we're not actually in the constraints of our physical body, which means that we're no longer needing to abide by the laws of logic and of the physical realm as well. And so the subconscious and also the spirit realm both have that freedom to. Your subconscious doesn't need to listen to logical laws. Your subconscious doesn't need to listen to physical laws, and neither does your spirit. And so for me, I do see the spirit realm as a bit of a bridge for both of these things. And the truth is, like I said in the entry space for this class, there are countless records of dreams and symbols throughout all history, Indigenous history, scientific history, psychological history, to prove that the dream realm is a really powerful space we can extract information from. And when you allow yourself to connect into your truth, that truth, or whatever the truth feels like for you, whether you want to focus on it being a spiritual space or whether you want to focus on it being a subconscious space, it gives you the opportunity to finally activate this space as a gift. So my partner is a psychology student. He went to uni for 6 years and then studied hypnotherapy. He's really anchored in the belief that it's a scientific subconscious space. And for me, I think it's in the spirit realm. And so wherever you feel more safe to explore, maybe it doesn't feel super safe for you to say, that's my spiritual space. Maybe it doesn't feel good to say that's my subconscious. And so wherever you want to land, you have the power when it comes to the connection with your dream realm, which is something that we will speak about multiple times as well. So, of course, like I said, I wanted to share a few personal accounts from my dream diary and also from big scientist dream diaries that can help you explore the truth that's available here. I feel like I keep adjusting my shirt. This is Simon's shirt tonight, so hopefully it's not too distracting when I do that. I chose it simply because it's an optical illusion shirt, which I felt was fitting for tonight. But one of the dreams I wanted to share really quickly is growling from Nana. If you've had a visit from a past loved one, or maybe even your subconscious has showed up through a mother figure. I've known countless people who've dreamt about aunties and nanas when they've needed a little bit of a growling. In this experience with the dream realm, I had a dream that I was sitting down with my nana, who's now passed on, and she had quite an angry look on her face. And what she had done in the dream was she called me, she sat me down. My nana doesn't speak to me in my dreams, and that's how I know it's her. She's all feeling, she's all facial expression. So she told me to come over. She sat me down, and then she pointed, and my aunties were sitting over there. My aunties and my mum. My mum's got two sisters. And so she was angrily pointing them to sit down. And so I had, being the person who was delivering the messages to my aunties and my mum, I said, you should come sit down. And when they were walking over to me, they weren't looking at each other. And my nana was really upset. And so she sat them all down, and then she looked at me and she was gesturing that you need to get them to talk. And so I woke up, and that was an interesting dream. And then I called my mum, and I asked her, this is the next day after the dream. I said, are you talking to my aunties at the moment? She said, no, I'm not talking to them. And then had the same experience connecting with my aunties. And when I had told them I had a dream that Nana needs you to sit down and talk, they were finally able to dissolve the tension. And there's a lot of tension when they're not communicating. And so that's one example of how my dream had brought people together to help settle the tension and the discomfort. So that was a really interesting experience. Now, another dream that I've had was an envelope. In this particular dream, my old manager had come to me and he handed me an envelope. And in this envelope, I thought it was a termination letter. So I remember in the dream picking up that letter, going home and putting it on the table and ignoring it. But then at the end of that dream, I went back to the table. I, measly opened up the letter and opened it. And interestingly, on that piece of paper was the bones or the outline of an upcoming course that I hadn't even thought about. It said, empowering women to connect to their intuition, 4 weeks, $650. And I was really confused. But then in weeks coming up, luckily I had written down the details of that dream. I had actually released a course from that dream that was exactly what it said. And so that was the birth of my class, or my journey, Intuitive Gold. And so that was literally delivered to me in a dream by somebody who passed me a piece of paper that had written that on there inside the envelope. And the note I wanted to share that one for was because the dream realm can be a space where you brainstorm ideas, whether that was my subconscious or my spirit guides. Regardless, it was a brainstorming idea and had planted a seed in something that was going to be birthed in the near future. Now, words are like daggers. So in this particular dream, I was speaking to my stepdad at the time. My stepdad was in the car with my brother. And I remember, the only thing I remember from that dream is saying to my stepdad, Dad, your words are like daggers. And so I kind of left that dream, and it just wouldn't leave the back of my mind. I just couldn't leave it. So I ended up calling my dad and telling him. And then he reflected that the way that he was speaking to my brother, who was in the dream with me, potentially wasn't a reflection of how he actually felt. And he was using his words sharply and not actually from his heart. And so through the delivering of that message, my dad was reminded to soften the way that he spoke to my brother, who was going through a hard time, and that helped them reconnect as well. So like I said, that's the only thing I remember, is saying that to my dad in the dream. But the way that my brother was feeling and the way that my dad was feeling in the dream was a really important message, and was who I needed to deliver that message to. Now, the last dream that I just wanted to quickly touch on is the fox and the book. So I had a dream that I had gone over to visit my father-in-law, and I was giving him a tarot reading. And every single card that I had placed on the table in front of him had a fox on it. So I had fox, two foxes, three foxes, one fox. And I had a woman who, there's a lot of details in this dream, it was a very detailed one, but there was a woman who walked up to me and said, they don't like it. They don't like it. And so a couple of days later, I'm just getting goosebumps as I share this dream. But a couple of days later, I visited my father-in-law and I said, I have no idea what this means. Do foxes mean anything to you? And he laughed. He didn't really give me a response. And then I said, there was a woman in the dream who said they don't like it. And then so that's when he shared with me that he was actually writing a book. So he's writing a book at the moment in which I didn't know too much details about. And he wasn't sure if he should put in the information about the fox or not. And so from that dream, he didn't put the information about the fox in the book because it wasn't relevant to whoever he's writing the book for. So those are a few examples of how dreams over the years, and that's only a couple of them. I've got notebooks and journals in my phone filled with dream accounts, but those ones came through, and just little examples of when we're following our intuition. Eventually, we'll be able to fine tune when a message has come through for somebody, and also when we are delivering messages that are supportive, then our dream realm becomes a space for that. And the more that we deliver those supportive messages, or the more that we note down those dreams and action those actions that came, or those prompts that came from our dreams, then the easier it is to, I suppose, have those happen in the dream realm. So those are a few things that I would like to share in my own experience. Now, just a couple of things that I wanted to share. This has been really interesting in my studies of dreams over the last few years, especially has helped me. And so somebody I'd love to share with you is someone called Louis, Agassiz, and the fossil fish. So this particular, I've written it down so I don't forget. He was a marine biologist and he was studying fossil fuels, and he had discovered a new fish fossil, but he couldn't quite match it up to anything. He didn't know what this fish was, and he was really stuck on trying to figure out the fossil or the shape of this fossil. Now, he had dreamt about this fish when he went to sleep that night, and he woke up, he didn't really note about it. But then on the second night, he had a dream about the same fish coming, very detailed, very vivid image of the fish. And then so when he woke up that next day, he knew that it was important that he kept a pen and a notebook next to his bed. And on the third night, when he had that dream again, as soon as he had that image and he woke up, he was able to sketch it out with details. He took that information back to the lab, and sure enough, he was able to slowly chip away at the fossil because he knew how to navigate the fossil in the rock. If you've ever seen a fish fossil, if you knock off the stone, then you might lose crucial parts. So because of that dream, he knew how to navigate the fossil, and it was able to be exactly identified as his sketches and his notes that he had set down. And so this is an example of how through the dream realm, you're able to explore some logical issues or some otherwise things that you may be stuck on through intuition and through unseen support as well. So I do believe whoever was helping him in that time, whether it was the fish or whether it was his guides, were able to give him that information in the dream realm. Now, Dmitry Mendeleev, please excuse my butchering of pronunciation and the periodic table. So if you don't already know this story, we all know the periodic table. Dmitry was having problems knowing how to arrange the periodic table. But through his dream realm space, his answers became more clearer. And through these dreams of exploring that, and you can always look up the full stories of these, he was able to piece together what we know and love as the periodic table today. Carl Jung, please, my apologies. Especially as a Māori woman, I really should have learned how to pronounce these names correctly. But he's a really renowned psychologist who explores the subconscious and the psyche through the dream realm. he performed countless interviews and dream accounts of how the dream realm actually shows up and how it delivers us messages and codes and answers. And so if you're really wanting to understand the psyche and the psychological side of this, I highly recommend looking out Carl's work. And even I recommend him more than looking up Freud, which is the other founding father of dream interpretation. I would recommend Carl because he liked to combine things like coincidence and synchronicity and spiritual experiences with that. Whereas I find that a lot of Freud's interpretations are very sexual, which I feel like is very limiting to the dream space. The other person who I wanted to speak about from a worldly perspective is Otto Lewy. Oh my goodness, guys. My apologies. But from a dream that he actually ended up winning himself a Nobel Prize because he was able to discover something to do with the vagus nerve. Like I said, if you're really curious about that, look up that name in his dream accounts with the vagus nerve. But through his exploration through the dream, he woke up and he performed a dissection on a real frog, testing his theories, and his discovery led him into winning a Nobel Prize. Now, that's scientifically. I wanted to make sure we covered some of those spaces as well. Some people who are usually known for being quite logical and how some discoveries were being brought through the dream realm. And in the space of tonight, like I said, I wanted that balance of making sure that we're staying grounded and also having some logical accounts as well for the dream space. And as a little side note here as well that I wanted to share with you is that the CIA have actually released documents, detailed documents. I've actually read through them and explored some of the practices myself of how you can do things like astral projection, changing your vibration, and having out-of-body experiences through the dream realm space. So if you're a bit more scientifically minded and you're really curious, please let me know, send me a message and I can send you those through. It was actually my father-in-law who sent me those documents because they've been released. They used to be hidden documents after the Fox dream. So he thought it would be really interesting if I started to practice those things, in which I did, and I experienced some really cool things as well. So that was the CIA who studied the dream realm, I suppose, and performed a lot of experiments on those. So I just wanted to give you a space to have some quick reflections. What experiences have you had that were supportive of a real life issue? Okay. Maybe you dreamt about conflict with a friend or conflict with a lover, maybe a school project, or you're experiencing a very common one that I experience with a lot of people and myself is I imagine myself being late to, I dream about myself being late to an event. And so I set an extra alarm in the morning, or and that makes me be ready extra early. Or I have a dream about forgetting something. And so the next day I make sure I focus on getting that. But I just want you to reflect on potentially what's a dream that you've had. If you want to, I invite you to answer these questions in the chat box if you're here with me live, or feel free to reflect on any of these answers to these questions with me. I'm so open to hearing your experiences. Also, what kind of issues or challenges in your walking life could be taken to the dream realm? Is there a specific area in your life right now that you're experiencing discomfort or challenge? I'm going to say the past 3 weeks, I've continuously put to my dream realm to help me out with my home life because we're going through a big shift at the moment with Simon going back to work. And so I've continuously, multiple times throughout the week, set the same intention: help me with my expansion in work. Please help me with my expansion in my home life. And so is there any areas that you just want to note down that you'd like to take to the dream realm? And the last thing is, what stories have you heard from other people that strengthen your belief in the dream realm? I know, especially as a Māori woman and an Indigenous woman, so many aunties have accounts of knowing that pregnancies were going to happen because they dreamt about it. So many people knew that there were, somebody was close to the other side or was going to pass soon because they dreamt of that. And so we really want to hold on to those stories that help us connect with the truths that are available to us in the dream realm and help us strengthen that as well. Okay, so just have some space to reflect on that. Okay, so we are tapping into before entering the dream realm. And in this section of our call today, I'm going to be sharing some techniques that I've used to help us explore the dream realm space. Just having a moment here to reset and recenter. Okay. So, activating the dream realm. Many of you who are with me now or rewatching the replay, I know that you are connected to your dreams because you've had experiences like that before. Even a few of the women who shared at the start of the class, you're being called here because you know that there's space here. But before we can actually dive into the symbolism and dive into the meaning and the thick of our dreams, we must actually change our belief systems. And by changing our belief systems, it actually changes how the dream realm will show up for us. So, the first thing that I wanted to reflect on is that the space is very much like the gym. And in all of my coaching classes, my group mentorships, even my one-on-one spaces with people, I always remind them that our intuition is like a muscle. The more we practice it, the stronger it gets. And this is the same with the dream space. If you are constantly showing your dreams that they're important by A, noting them down, B, reflecting with them with yourself, whether that's just when you wake up and just lying in bed for a minute or so before you grab your phone, before you answer the kids, before you rush out the door, before you get ready for work. When I was working at my office job, sometimes if I really wanted to reconnect to the dream realm, I'd set an alarm for 5 minutes before I need to actually get up. And getting that space to actually sit and simply reflect on any thoughts that not only came through the dream realm, but are coming to my mind first. And this helps your dreams, or this helps the part of you that dreams know, hey, this is important, which means, hey, I've got to remember it. It's very much like the game when you're playing. It's like punch buggy. I'm not sure for those of you who are overseas if it's got the same name, but when you see a yellow car, you can punch someone. Kids games, honestly. You still love playing it with my siblings. But when you are looking for those things, you'll find them. And so, I wouldn't take any notice if I saw a yellow car. However, when I would see them more. Okay. And so you have to reprogram yourself to realizing and teaching your dreams that they're really important. Now, every dream has a purpose. Something that I see mistakenly a lot of people who are reflecting their dreams with me, they'll say, oh, I dreamt of this and this and this. And my mind is going symbol, message. And they're going, oh, but it doesn't mean anything anyways. So they'll recount what's happened. They remember, they're repeating the message, but they instantly let it go. But with that passing, oh well, it wasn't somebody who said to me, hey, you need to do this. Every dream has purpose. And often, if we only remember small details, I always have this belief that those are the details that I'm meant to remember. Okay. Maybe not every dream will be life-changing, but even if it's a small dream, it may offer you a small space to reflect, even if it's, have I been eating the right food? Okay, I'll think about that today. Or am I worried that I'm not going to make this event in time? Have I got a history of, saying not very nice things early in the morning? Whatever it is, you must believe that every dream has a purpose and it does not have to have the weight of being life-changing in order for it to be purposeful. Okay. Now, they are a sense of wisdom and deeper connection. Like I said, I've even had small dreams about a truck being blue driving past. And although I don't need to go into, the meaning of the color blue, it's this. And when I dream about a truck, it symbolizes this. Although I don't need to go into that, it might give me a sense of reflection. Like, where am I needing to look out more? Am I needing to pay more attention to things like that? Is there beautiful things happening in the mundane? It's whatever question comes up for you, just reflect it from a really curious standpoint. And of course, you can see your dreams as mirrors as well. So if you want to believe that it's close to the spirit realm or the subconscious, it can mirror something back to you. It can mirror a great thing, it can mirror a challenging thing, but you have to see them in ways that feel supportive and encouraging for you to keep going. Okay. Now, the next section that I want to speak about in terms of activating the dream realm is creating a relationship with it. Giving it a purpose. For me, sometimes I have to literally sit there and say, actually, this week I just need rest and rejuvenation. And when we have a relationship, it means that the words have just flown out of my mind, but relationship means that you relate to it, you connect to it. For me, giving it a name really changed the relationship with my dreams, because my mind kind of, I would say to Simon, oh, I'm going to the dream realm tonight. And this programming, it kind of made my mind pick up that, oh, this is a place we go that's important. Some people call it the dream realm. A lot of people that I work with call it that. Some people call it the dream space. Just giving it a name that feels good and supportive to you. Excuse the burping. I always say that that's what happens when the channel's open, when energy is being released. But giving it a name can really also change the way that you relate to it. Māori, I know someone who calls it the moinga, I believe. I'm going to my moinga. And yeah, so that's a really beautiful way that you can connect deeply into this. Okay. So also something else that I highly recommend, and I've just seen a message as well from Katrina, which I'll pop in and read as well. But something that's helped my relationship a lot is buddying with someone and walking life and making life who you trust. So for me, it's my partner. And you want to do this with somebody who is actually going to be an interesting space of reflection, who's open, who knows that there's freedom in the way that you interpret it, and that it doesn't need to be super deep. It can just be really light, meaning like, oh yeah, I actually am needing to go to the gym again, or oh, I do actually miss that person. But buddying with someone who you really trust is really going to help take that meeting to the next level, because you also have somebody else who can give their insight and perspective on it as well. Okay. So also having a reliable source to record your dreams and recall them as well. For me, I tried to have a dream written journal, but with a breastfeeding son who still fed throughout the nighttime, with 3 other people in my bed, it just wasn't realistic to turn on the light in the middle of the night and journal things out, especially if I was breastfeeding. So if you have the capacity to turn on the light and journal, please do that, because they say that using your body to channel those messages is really powerful. But for me, it made more sense to have it on my phone. So I shared on my Instagram the notes app that I like to use, and all I do is I have it open when I go to sleep. So what that means is as soon as I unlock my phone, I can start typing straight away. No looking, no accidentally seeing any notifications, which I'm so guilty for, especially because my work is all mainly through my phone. No accidentally opening all of those things that will distract me. It's right there. And my phone's on D&D at nighttime, so I don't have any chance of it's funny, my computer just said sleep is on the computer now, do not disturb. But yeah, having a way that feels sustainable and supportive of you connecting to your dreams is really important. I have a beautiful friend and client who will have her voice notes app open. So she wakes up and she just repeats whatever comes through. She just speaks directly into her phone, and that's a really supportive way for her to receive those messages as well. So just feel into what feels good for you. And the dream realm upon entering. So I do need to speak about this. The ideal environment that you enter your dream space in is one of calm, safety, and peace. If you feel safe as you fall asleep, if you feel at peace when you fall asleep, then this immediately opens the portal to your dream realm with that frequency, which the energy of love and peace and contentment and connection can land into. I know for me, after I've watched a horror movie, I don't even watch horror anymore. That's a lie. Even just a slightly thrilling movie, and I go to sleep feeling that thrill, boom, all my dreams just thrill, chasing, running, people from, villains from the dream visiting me. And that's because I've entered the dream space that way. And so I know for me, when I was going to uni, falling asleep, feeling anxious about what I was just studying about, my dreams were very anxious. And so having space to have a really clear, closed down routine. This might be meditating, stretching. For me, I like to put my phone down for as long as possible. We set a really calm light in our room that helps because I like sleeping with the light on. That helps me stay calm. Sometimes I'll burn some essential oils, in the diffuser. I don't recommend burning candles or anything at nighttime. Diffusers, a meditation as you go to sleep. And when I was repairing from a really intense nightmare that I had, I also played positive frequency music. And that actually really helped me feel safe and comfortable as well. Okay. So that's, of course, connecting into the state of the body prior to the dream work. So if you have a really heavy meal just before you go to sleep, that makes you feel a little bit heavier in your space and we can't reach those. Not that you can't, but it just takes a little bit more work for you to receive clearer messages simply because your body is using the energy to digest. Like that's not even a deep spiritual meaning, but very, very scientific and logical that if we ate a heavy meal right before we went to sleep, which is a certain kind of bliss as well. When you eat a meal so good, you got to go to sleep straight away. But your body has to work harder, so it can't reach those activations easier. Considering your hydration and food consumption as well, I like to drink water. And even if you do wake up in the middle of the night going to pee, then you're most likely going to have a dream that you can recall as well. And so when I was drinking water before I went to sleep, I would walk to the toilet with my phone, typing out whatever comes through. And then, yeah, if you want to really amp up, I don't personally do this. Like I said, I've got a baby, so I can't set alarms in the middle of the night, but there are accounts of setting alarm, especially that 3 to 5 a.m. time. This is when some really powerful messages come through. They say the veil is closed at this, very thin and close at this time. And so if you really want to challenge yourself to really receive those messages, you can even set alarms to wake you up in the middle of the night so you can have those messages. And when I have done that in the past, I didn't really like it because sometimes it woke me up in the middle of a good dream. I'm just like, oh, well, I really enjoyed that. And so those are some of the things that I recommend when you're activating the dream realm. Okay. All right. So before you go to sleep, and these are some of the questions you can actually reflect on tonight before you go to sleep, but it's what would I like the dream realm to be like for me? Do you actually want to be somebody who gives messages to others? Do you actually want it to be problem solving, or do you want it to be playful and imaginative? Do you want to connect to problem solving challenges, or do you not actually want to do that? Get really clear with what you want to achieve from the dream space. And you don't even need to write this down, but having the intention set in your heart is a really powerful way you can steer your direction in your life. Okay. Now, this actually helps you understand and interpret your messages easier. Okay. Say, for example, you have a dream about an orange. Okay. And your intention is that I want to have this dream tonight that helps me with my health. And then you wake up and you think, oh, I dreamt of oranges last night. Cool. Maybe I want to have more orange juice. Maybe my immune system needs more vitamin C. If you fell asleep with a different intention, say, for example, I want to figure out what's going on with my partner, and you dream about eating oranges, then you can dive into, are things a bit sour at the moment? Does it feel acidic? Am I not really feeling, sweet in our relationship at the moment? And what's not feeling sweet? And that's an example of how our intention, if we set it, which leads into the next point, clearer intentions render clearer answers, because you get to deconstruct the dream to your intention. Okay? It's not just a one way when it comes to your dreams. Don't think that your dreams are going to give you the exact answer. Instead, see it as a relationship. I get given a dream. I get to choose what I take from that space. I get to choose which symbols I would like to use that information or use to answer my question. It is not a one way. And it's much better when you give yourself the freedom to pick and choose and take what feels enlightening and supportive of your intention before you went to sleep. Okay. An example that I shared on my Instagram the other night is I had set the intention because I fell asleep feeling quite tense. It's like, how do I actually clear my energy? And I had dreamt about my partner driving the car. And so the next day, I really focused on settling my energy using the support of my partner. If I had set my intention the night before to, I want a business idea, which I've done before multiple times, I could have woken up the next morning with that exact same dream of Simon driving. And instead of it being about clearing my energy, I could have extracted from that dream, oh, maybe I need to chat to Simon about my business idea. Maybe he's got an idea for me. Okay. And so your intentions for the dream space are really important to what you extract from them. Okay. Now, the other question that I have there for the intention is, how long do I wish to set the intention for? When I was starting out, I just set the intention for the week. On Monday, I'd just set it the intention, and then I'd have 7 dreams, and whatever one I feel is supportive of that, that's the one I can pick and extract some psychic information from. Okay. But now that I'm doing it more often, I have the comfortability to set a new intention every night. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't make this challenging. Don't make it a hard experience. Let it be whatever it feels right to be for the time. Okay. So clearer questions and intentions render clearer answers. Now, the dream realm physical environment, it's related to what I said last time, but it does play a big role. What would make me feel safe, relaxed, and open? Our bed a couple of weeks ago, one of the slats broke, so we had to put our mattress on the floor in the spare room. And that is generally where the dog will hang out. And so when I was sleeping, and for that 5 days that we were in there, a lot more of my dreams were a bit icky feeling because we were on the floor, and we actually had the bed on the floor for a long time, but because it was in the room that's not used for sleeping, there's more laundry in there, or it's Simon's office as well. So there's like books in places and cords hanging out. And then versus when we finally fixed our bed, so Simon figured out a solution to get us back into our bedroom, and then he bought new bed sheets. The whole difference it made in my dream realm space, because I fell asleep feeling more relaxed, open, and safe. Okay. So the other thing that'll support you, that's a question that's for you, is what pre-sleep self-care do I need to do to help me enter the dream realm with a positive vibration? Okay. Honestly, like when I fall asleep after having connected to Simon intimately, my dreams also have a different energy as well. If I fall asleep after I did a meditation or read a book, my messages are much clearer. Versus if I was scrolling on my phone for half an hour before I fell asleep, or 45 minutes or whatever it is, just doom scrolling. And then I fall asleep, and then my dreams are more muddled. There's bits and pieces from reels I had just watched before I fell asleep. And so if you want to make an ideal experience with your dream realm, I absolutely recommend having a small self-care practice that gets you into that relaxed, safe space, and even in the space of connecting into that intention. So if your intention for your dreams for the week is about how do I improve my health, maybe getting yourself into a space of feeling healthy and vibrant before you go to sleep will help you get clearer answers for that space. And yeah, I literally say to Simon because he's a real movie person when I'm not, if he wants to have a movie night with me at home, we've got 2 toddlers. So sometimes date night is watching a movie together in the lounge. I literally will say, I can't watch that. I can't watch that because I'm going to dream about it. I can't watch that because I'll dream about it. So that's one of the things that I use to filter out what movies we watch. And interestingly, a couple of weeks ago, we watched the whole Twilight saga when we were both sick, and so we couldn't do anything, and we're just chilling watching movies for that time. And yeah, every single night for those nights we were watching it, which was over 3 or 4 days, I can't remember because we had to break it up, I was dreaming about Twilight themes, Twilight vibes, literally in my dreams. So yeah, be aware of what affects you and before you go to sleep. The last question that I want you to ask before you dive into the interpreting and symbolism, are there any experiences that you've had in the dream realm that you need to revisit, repair, or even release? I had quite a intense and heightened experience with the dream in Mangawhai. So when I was visiting New Zealand last year, and my brother had the same dream without us talking about it. So quite a not nice feeling dream and quite a psychic experience from the energy that was in the home. And it took me weeks to realize that I actually needed to repair from that in order to feel safe. And so just consider, is there any dream that I've had in the past that I haven't spoken about, that I need to maybe connect with someone about? Maybe it was a nightmare that we had last year. Maybe it was a sad experience that we had with a lover, or even for me, I've had dreams about my partner cheating, and I just left that dream, didn't talk about it, didn't talk about it. And then that just made me not want to go deeper into my dreams anymore until I actually was able to repair it and revisit and reconnect around that and maybe extract what the meanings were. Just coming back to that example of when I was in New Zealand and Mangawhai and had to repair that, I had to simply sit with that experience, close that all up, give myself compassion, and also reflect with my partner. Maybe, you know, my vibration wasn't good then, or it just gave me the opportunity to do whatever I needed to do to feel safe again. And so just consider, if you're feeling a bit blocked in your dreams, where do you need to revisit in order to free that block? Okay. So Katrina's message is, I'm so supportive and grateful for this wonderful discussion and offering on dreams, darling. I have to leave. Unfortunately, but I am looking forward to catching up in the replay. Big love, you are magic. Thanks for the encouragement on the dream space. Oh, Katrina, if you're watching right now, sending you so much love. Thank you for being here and bringing your gorgeous energy. Okay, so just going to do a little drink check. If you're watching with me live, my loves, please have a drink. Maybe shake your body. It's a lot of psychic energy I can feel moving through. And as you'll see, and there's quite a few of you that I've worked with before who are watching the replay, I like to share information about the spirit and psychic realms from quite a grounded, logical space. I like to break it down. I have an Aquarius moon, for those of you who like astrology. It's an Aquarius full moon tomorrow, which is actually the moon that I was born under as a Leo woman. And so parts of me like to make sure that we're covering our content in a way that is easily digestible and understandable for our logical mind, and our spirit takes care of the rest. Okay, that's just a little checkpoint. Just check in. How are you feeling if you're rewatching? If you're rewatching the replay, do you need to pause the video if it's been a lot of information? Just check in and nourish yourself. Do you need to stretch? Do you need to go to the bathroom? Just bringing that energy in and regrounding and recentering it. Okay, so exploring the dream realm. We're good for time as well, which is great. Okay. So exploring the dreams. So we've had the dreams. We're starting to remember them. We've done our repair. We've set our intentions. We've done all of that. What do we need to do now when we wake up? So I've noted it before. I've touched on a little bit, but this is how we most effectively recollect our dreams. So I like to use that word, not just remembering, but it's recollection, because it's like we've been given, this is the image that's coming through. We've been given this basket of shells, okay? We've been given this basket of shells. We've used the dream realm to collect them. And then a wave has come, which is us waking up, and it's kind of tossed the basket. And we can see the shells kind of stretched out and scattered on the beach. This first 5 minutes after we wake, this is us recollecting those shells and deciding how we piece them together. Okay, so we've been swimming through the ocean, we've been collecting shells in our dreams. When we wake up, so we've just come back to land, our basket of shells has just poured and landed onto the sand, and we have the opportunity to take it. And for some reason, I feel like that was the image that was coming through. So I know that this is probably going to be a helpful analogy for a few of you. But when you wake up and we're recollecting those shells, I want you to think of the sacred 5 minutes after you wake, okay? let's say that the shells are scattered, you only have a short amount of time before the next wave comes. The next wave, say, for example, is, oh, we need to get ready for work. Or, oh, we need to get up and feed the kids. Or, oh, I've got that thing to fax off today. I don't even know who faxes anymore, but I've got that email I've got to send. I've got that bill that I've got to pay. And the more that those waves come in, the more shells are actually scattered and they're taken out again. So we have this sacred 5 minutes when we wake up. For me, I like to sit and feel the feelings of the dream, sit with the imagery, kind of think about it. And I only do this for a minute after I wake up and just sit with some of those images, focus on them. What details do I remember? What feelings that I have? And as soon as I open my eyes, my note app is there and I'm typing. Honestly, so much typos and mistakes are in my dream notes. And so many times I've been reading them out to Simon and I'm like, I don't know what that word is, but I'm just going to keep going. And autocorrect is a really helpful tool. I don't know why I recently turned off autocorrect. But yeah, so this is, say, for example, a dream that I had the other night, and I just typed and typed, typed and typed and typed and typed. Typed and typed and typed and typed, and didn't really focus on the spelling or if it makes sense, because these are shells that we're recollecting. Okay. Touching base with your dream buddy. I'll come back to the note before that, which is revisiting with a clearer mind. Once you've cleaned out your mind, you've collected those shells, imagine that you're taking those shells up to the shore and you're just placing them there, just leaving it. Step away from your dreams. This is what I feel like I actually get the most out of my dreams, is not focusing on all of the interpretations straight away. You can, and I would say maybe just trial it out. Is it more effective for you to interpret straight away, or do you need to revisit it? Often, moments after I wake up, my children are awake, so I don't have space to interpret straight away. But I like to revisit when I have a clearer mind. So it gives me the opportunity to be an observer of my dreams. So this may be after breakfast, after a drink of water. Often when me and my partner are driving in the car, that's when we'll revisit a dream and we'll focus it. And then touching base with your dream buddy. I cannot express how beneficial it is to have somebody who you can share your dreams with. Why? When you've accounted that role with that person, and it could be a friend, honestly, you've probably got a friend who you can just send a voice message to. Hey, I've got this dream. Listen, I've done it to a friend when I've been cooking breakfast. It's like, oh, these are the notes that I note down. And then it gives you the opportunity to speak it out loud, which helps us integrate the message, because we're bringing it through our physical body, our voice, our throat. But it also, sorry, I'm just adjusting my scarf, my clothes. I'm having a few malfunctions this evening. Excuse me. Big auntie behavior, clothing malfunction. But yeah, if you have that and you have counted them as that person that you can trust, most likely their psychic energy starts to attune to you. Often Simon will understand the meaning before I do. And he often does. I'll be reading it to him and he'll be like, I know exactly what that represents. And I'll be like, what? And he's like, oh, well, this, you were fearful of this last week. I'm like, oh, I totally forgot about that. So having a dream buddy really helps you integrate that. And not leaving out any details with negative feelings attached. This is why I said in the last slide, finding somebody you trust to be your dream buddy. I have dreams about even cheating on my own partner, but I don't leave that off the table when I'm talking to Simon. I will say, oh, I had this dream that I did this, and this was the kind of person. And the more that you're able to create that trust for these symbols, the more clearer they'll become as well. Because we learn from good and bad experiences. We learn from, the black and the white, yin and yang, masculine, feminine, all of those beautiful things. And if we are only taking what we want, and again, we use this information with discernment, but don't be afraid to leave out, oh, I felt really guilty, or, oh, I felt really icky about this symbol that I saw, or this animal that I was seeing. This snake that I saw, I felt really, heightened or uncomfortable. Don't move away from those things either. If they feel important, let them be a part of your decoding. Let them be a part of that purpose for you. Okay. Now, the fundamentals of dreams, and this is the order of importance that I like to put mine in, is the feelings. Because this realm is away from logics, I like to identify the feelings first. How did I feel in that dream? This is often the biggest messenger and often connects us to that psychic space, which is being able to feel into the subtle energies. Okay. When you get more attuned to your feelings in the dream realm, this will also help you discern whether there's a messenger who you should listen to or not. Okay. I've had messengers, I've had symbols show up as my nana. And often I would say every single time, I know when it's my nan and I know when it's just a fearful symbol of my nan, which maybe just be my anxiety and it just come through that way. So the more attuned you become to your feelingscape in the dream, the more you're able to extract helpful information as well. So feelings are first, then I would put symbols next, and then the events and people. So there's often a symbol that I'll dream about when I need to know that I'm protected, and it's the owl. The owl will come back for me. And so if there's a reoccurring symbol in your dream, say for example, you've had 10 dreams over the week that you can remember that you've jotted down, but a snake has popped up 2 or 3 times, or a snake popped up 3 times in different dreams throughout the night, because I'll often have 4 or 5 dreams at nighttime now. Or maybe you keep dreaming about buses over 3 days. You've had another dream about a bus, and having a dream buddy helps you catch on to these symbols as well. Because Simon will often say to me, "Oh, you had a dream about a bus again?" Like, "Oh, I did." He's like, "Yeah, 2 days ago you had a dream about a bus, and then the night before that you had a dream about a bus." And so having a dream buddy helps you pick up those patterns. But reoccurring symbols is probably the next thing. And then after that, probably events and people. So what was happening in your dream and who was in your dream. Those are some important notes too. And then some common dreams. As always, use them with discernment, things like the elements. So we like to say that water represents emotions, fire represents passion, creativity, earth represents grounding, the physical plane, air represents thinking and ideas. Also common dream events, so that are heightened. So things like being chased. Where are you feeling chased in your life? Are you feeling like you can't catch up? Are you feeling a bit rushed by something? Lost. I have lost dreams as well. And often that's when I'm feeling a bit ungrounded and uncentered. Late dreams can be, am I going to make it in time? Am I going to fail this thing? Am I going to live up to the expectation? Flying, a sense of freedom, teeth, stress, how you're being seen and perceived. Transport, how are you traveling from one place to the next? Seasons of life. So if you're dreaming about things like school, for me, if I'm having a dream about school, it's like my guide is saying, you need to learn about this right now. Or if I'm dreaming about my old job, I know it's related to a business idea. If I'm dreaming about a bus, then I know that I might be following the path that everybody else is on. That's not effective for me. But there's endless dream dictionaries out there, endless dream dictionaries. What's more important is that you create a strong relationship with your dreams, which will happen over, a few weeks, maybe a few dreams, maybe a few years. The more you tap into this, and there'll be seasons of, more dreaming and then less and more and less. But the more you're able to create your own dream dictionary, the more effective your psychic connection to your dream is going to be. Okay. If I have a dream about KFC, which is my restaurant job I sometimes talk about, then I know I need to listen, because this is a new idea that's coming through, because that was my first job. If I have a dream about my call center job, which was my second one, it says this is something that is coming through naturally. You don't need to force it. Whereas the KFC dream will be more about a new opportunity. Okay. Animals are something that I recommend you can search up. That's fine. Have a look at what they say, and then read up on which one feels good. And then people from the past will often come up. And the question that I always recommend that you ask is, what does that person symbolize for you? Okay. So those are just a few common themes that might come up in the dream space as well. All right. So this is some of the dream FAQs. So this is some of the questions. Oh no. Here we go. Sorry, so I missed this one. Just because I have. Okay, we're back. We're back. Before I move into the common FAQs, which is just a couple of questions that I've had since I've put out the dream space out there, this is the formula that I use personally. I've interpreted dreams over years. I've gotten lots of messages over the years. This one has been the most effective for me, and you can literally do it in 5 minutes. I also taught my dream buddy this. So Simon, I taught him in 3 minutes, and now it's the easy default that he goes to help me interpret it. Okay, so this is called the lightning game. It is, like I said, I've tried lots of different things over the years, but this is the most effective for me. The first question you ask when you've recounted as much from your dream without going into interpretation, boom, how did I feel? How did you feel? This is so helpful if you're the dream buddy of somebody else, or if you're interpreting someone else's dream. Somebody else has come to you and said, hey, I had this dream. Can I talk to you about it? First question, how do you feel? This is important because you give the power to the other person. How do you feel, instead of going into interpretation straight away, which we can feel tempted to do if we're in the psychic space like myself. How did you feel? Boom, name all those emotions. Next one, how can this be reflected in real life? Okay, how can this be reflected in real life? Just let yourself list it if you're reflecting with yourself. How can this dream and those feelings be reflected in my real life? Or where are they being reflected in my real life? Now, this is the next one that's crucial. If you're interpreting for somebody else, or if you're teaching a dream buddy to reflect with you, let them say, if this were my dream, and let them reflect their thoughts. What this does is it gives them the powerful opportunity to be somebody who gives you information to reflect on, but you don't need to take it. Okay. If this were my dream, this is how I'd feel. Okay. So if somebody gives me a dream, and you might notice as well with my questions that people asked me on my stories the other day, somebody would said, this happened in my dream. Then I said, if this were my dream, this is what I'd take from it. And it lets them have the opportunity to say yes or no to that. And then the very last question, which is so important with integration, any spiritual work we do, it doesn't mean anything if we don't actually action it here in the physical realm. So if you have all these symbols that are making sense for you, you've put to your dream realm, help me with my health, help me with my physical body, or help me with my work. If you do not ask that last question, what am I going to do now? Then we're leaving it there in the spirit realm. And the spirit is meant to help us with our walking life. And so do not forget to ask, what am I going to do now? And like I said, it might be something small. It might be, oh, I'm going to buy oranges when I go to the store today. Or, oh, I'm going to message that person because I actually felt like I really missed them in the dream. Or, I'm going to set an extra alarm. Boom. This is one of the keys that is going to help your dreams be the improver of your life, because you will always reflect, what can I do now that's going to help me improve my life, or help me improve my connection, or help me improve my home life? That last question is the key. Okay, so quite a few of you asked me about delivering messages. So say, for example, I've had a prophetic dream, or I've dreamt about this person. I feel like it might be a message, but I'm not really sure. These are the questions that you want to ask yourself. Number one, is this in highest alignment for this person? This dream that I had about this person, is it actually going to be one that's supportive for them? To be the oracle comes the responsibility with being a helpful presence in somebody's life. Okay? If your dream is possibly going to just instill fear into this person, perhaps the dream ends with us. Even if it's a message, even if it feels like a message, and again, use this with discernment, because sometimes it might feel right. Maybe you can see somebody stressing at work, and something happens at work, and maybe you ask yourself, is that in highest alignment to tell them, hey, maybe you should take a day off? even if the dream was stressful or uncomfortable. And even if you want to deliver it to that person, say, hey, if this feels in highest alignment with you, or if this feels supportive of you, please take what you need. When we set the baseline with our spirit guides or with the universe, I will only deliver messages that are going to be supportive of people, then those are the messages that will come through. I had a lot of dreams about a family member last year, but they just felt like reflections of energy. And if I repeated the dream, I do not think that it would have helped that person. And so I left them to myself. And after a while, I stopped having dreams about that person. And I actually asked my guides, stop making me dream about this person. I don't want to cause any extra fear or stress in their life. And if they want something, they can come to me. Please bring them to me to ask me the question and not the other way around. I'm not going to be somebody who just messages with fearful energy. Okay. Which correlates into the next point, which does this feel of service and helpful to that person? Does it feel right to give this message? Does it feel like it'll help them in the season of life that they're in right now? Does it feel like it'll give them a really positive space to reflect? Really sit with that energy. Does it feel like me and that person could engage in deeper conversation about this? Because, in my dreams when I was becoming a psychic for the first time, I just dream about someone and message them about something. And then that opens a conversation. Is that something I actually have space to engage in a deeper conversation with? Okay. Sit with those answers before you deliver a message. And if it feels like, I would love to give this message, but I don't have space today, maybe my day is too busy or I'm feeling a bit burnt out, I don't have space to talk to them about stressful work situations, honor yourself first. Okay. Honor yourself first and then trust. Say, but if it's meant to be, let's make it happen, align it for me, let that person come to me if it's meant to be. But release responsibility to save people with your dreams and instead come into the pleasure of helping people when it can help them. And there's a lot of beauty there. And that was just an accidental repeat from the last slide that I had. Okay. So I'm going to quickly speed through some of these answers so we don't go too much over time, but dream states, people have asked me about lucid dreaming. I shared my answers on my story the other day. I don't put a lot of pressure on lucid dreaming. If it happens for you, great. And if you want to do it, awesome. However, I noticed that I actually received so much more wisdom when I stepped back and observed my dreams. When I stepped back and saw what my subconscious needed to communicate with me. When I stepped back and let my guides answer my intentions or respond to my questions that I had put out the night before. There was so much freedom and flowing in that space. However, I do, this is the thing that I do recommend is creating space for you to become conscious. So I'm a lot more conscious in my dreams now. I'll often become consciously aware, but that happens from building a relationship with your dreams. The more that you connect to them, the more you're able to become aware of when you're dreaming, and now I'm able to drop into a dream because it feels different to real life. But that happened when I built that relationship with my dream realm. Astral projection. So this is something that you can also experience if you wish to have an out-of-body experience. I've had a few out-of-body experiences. This can happen by repeating to yourself. Actually, I'm coming through with the answer that if you're interested in astral projection, let me send you those CIA documents, okay? Because they actually write out a step-by-step on how you can do it. And they did studies on these people. Which is really interesting. And so if you want a more detailed understanding of astral projection, please do, but it's kind of the same vibe. For me personally, I found that it felt like I was still trying to control my experience here. Nightmares. I spoke about this online as well on my Instagram. I recently put up a reel. It's a very real experience. It's very in the sense that you can feel scared and anxious during those spaces. By changing the way in the space that you go to sleep, that will really shift your dream space. By taking care of your health and creating a safe environment, creating a safe feeling, acknowledging where you might feel feeling anxious in your life, speaking to somebody who cares, whether that's a psychologist or a counselor or a loved family member, really creating a safe space for you to attend to those feelings before you go to sleep. That's where the auntie part of me wants to come through and say, hey, look after yourself. Nightmares is a sign that something needs to be looked at here in the physical realm. And creating that safety for yourself is really important. And so for me, when I'd have a nightmare, I would wake up and lean into it, ground myself, lean into support from others, ground myself, clear my energy, massage, really feeling that safety in my body, coming back to the present moment, and just creating a loving, compassionate environment for myself. And then maybe reflecting on, do I need to repair? Is there anything that I can do to support myself to feel more safe? Now, other questions that I have gotten is, can I get visitors? My personal experience is yes. Again, when I'm communicating clearly with my guides, I get the right kind of visitors, whether it's a guide or, like I said in that dream with my nana, I do believe that my nana visited me that one time. I also believe that my spirit babies have visited me. So I do believe that there is space for you to get visitors. And if you ever feel like you did have a visit and it wasn't very comfortable, please do not just brush over that. Wake up or get up and do whatever you need to do to feel safe again. Okay. Clearing your energy, cleansing your energy, imagining that you're closing off all your energy centers. And sometimes if I wake up and I don't have space to do all of that, I will literally declare out loud. I will say, no, I'm not having any of that. I will let my auntie energy activate. And I'll wake up, and I've done this before, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. You can get lost. No, absolutely not. I'm not having that energy, and just coming back into that strength of grounding. It doesn't need to just be, oh, I declare my energy clear, which I've tried to do in the past, but it doesn't work for me. I have to stand my ground when I feel that way. And then it helps me feel stronger as opposed to scared and light and small. Sometimes I need to really puff out my chest and reactivate my strength. And that feels good too. Other questions I had was, how do I know if it's a prophetic dream? Please release. Please, please, please release the stress. To understand if it's a dream of telling the future, please release, my love. I had a couple prophetic dreams in a row because I dreamed about something and then it would show up in my real life. And then I'd start to think, oh no, did my dream of the snake biting my leg last night, will that come through? Please release and let yourself be pleasantly surprised by the coincidence that the universe has. I had a dream the other night that I shared on my story. It was 2 nights ago, that I went and I was picking fruits from the tree, and I was eating them and I was getting nourished. And so when I went to my mother-in-law's house, and she randomly said to me, oh, the papayas and the passion fruits are ready. Go and pick them yourself and then bring them inside and eat them. And I went out and I was doing that. I was like, oh, isn't this a pleasant surprise? This is what I experienced last night. And let the universe reveal itself to you in that way. Please do not put pressure on yourself to be a prophetic dreamer, and instead let yourself be, I know I've said it, but pleasantly surprised. It's much nicer that way. And it keeps us safe from the energy of fear or discomfort. Now, how do I know if my interpretation is right, my love? It is right if it is in alignment with your intentions and it is helping you in your highest good. There are a million different ways that we can interpret a snake or an orange or a bus. But when you land on the thing that feels good and it clicks into place, that's when it's right for you. Okay. That's when it feels good to you. So many times I put pressure on myself to interpret somebody's dream correctly. And then they interpret it differently to me anyways. And so allow yourself the freedom to just land when it feels good and supportive. And that's what I'm supportive of in tonight. I could spend hours interpreting my dreams, but when I have that light bulb moment of, that makes sense, I'm done. My work is done. I don't need to keep picking apart. And Simon will stop me as well, because he's my dream buddy that will say, I think you've done enough. I think you've got the meaning. So allow yourself to stop. whenever it feels good. So I did have a question come through from a beautiful person who is rewatching the replay. And so I'm going to read that to you guys because it is an FAQ. And just for those of you who are joining me live, please, if you have a question, just type it in the chat box while I'm reading her question and answering it as well. Please don't be afraid if you have any questions. Let this be a safe space for those to be answered or for you to receive a new perspective and send it through so I can share it with the group just while I'm answering this question. So this person said, I often, usually after a 5 a.m. wake up, this woman's got a little one, and so she can often be woken up and then have space to go back to sleep. I start to drift to sleep again. Drift to sleep again, except it's not like sleep, where I get this high-pitched ringing that slowly gets louder and louder. I can choose to lean into it or not. It comes almost with a buzz and feels like a radio tuning into a frequency. When I break through, sometimes it's black, sometimes someone's tries to talk to me. I can't understand, and I get scared too of the unknown. Have you experienced this, and can you shed any light of what it is or how to get clarity? So I love this question. Thank you for sending it through. And also, I have indeed experienced this before. This is what I believe can be a bridge into either astral projection. And I feel like if you've experienced sleep paralysis before, which has quite a scary connotation, but it can be really positive as well. It's like an in-between space where our mind is consciously awake, but our body is going to sleep again. Now, the power here is that we can set our intentions to receive clear energy as well, just like I've spoken about it before. So if you can imagine that your physical body is falling back into sleep, but your body, so I'm going to show you with my hands, this is your physical body, and this is your mind, okay? I'm going to do it with a circular hand. So your body's starting to fall asleep again, but your consciousness is here. You've woken up at 5 a.m. and they're together, and your body starts to fall asleep, so the vibration is changing. The visual here that I'm showing you is that your conscious mind is starting to float into the dream space, or is staying in this conscious space while your body enters the dream space. Okay. Now, this is why often when I've experienced this, it's like I'm starting to levitate, or it's like I'm starting to float, or my ears, it's like the frequency is changing. And it's this, and you're always tethered, you're always connected to your body. They say that there's a cord that goes from your belly button, I believe, that connects you into your dream space self, which there's no time and space here. You know, it can float around, you can dream about all these different things, but your conscious mind is staying awake here. And so in this space, you are more susceptible to, I suppose, different energies, whether that's the dream space or I've connected to guides here in this in-between space. And if you choose to lean into it, I would say the best thing that you can do if you want to lean into it is to set an intention. And I know I've repeated this in the class, but if you wish to connect to somebody specific, anchor into your higher self. You know, I wish to come through with my higher self, or I wish to connect into the energy of healing, because your conscious mind has a lot of power. It's very close to like lucid dreaming. Okay. And so your mind has the ability to take you where you want to go. So in that space, have that intention. And of course, and I want this to be a really important note, if you are feeling anxious or scared or fearful, this is where your energy is going to take you. And so when I used to get sleep paralysis as a child, and I say this is sleep paralysis, a similar experience, because in sleep paralysis, your body is asleep, but your mind is awake. As soon as I would feel fear, I would have a scary experience, or I would easily perceive something over there as something that's not very nice. And this is because in that space, we can quickly connect into that energy. So if I'm feeling anxious, that's very quickly what can happen in my experience there. Whereas if you're trying to set in, you know, now that I'm older and I'm quite familiar with when I'm about to have sleep paralysis, I just affirm to myself, I'm safe. I'm okay. I'm safe. I can get out of this. It's all right. All I need to do is breathe. My, Simon's right there. And I'm not having those scary experiences anymore because I'm letting my emotional body, I'm letting my emotions or feelings stay in that really centered place. And this is where my experience stays. Okay. So if you want to, like I said, if you're wanting to deepen into like an outer body experience or astral projection, please let me know. For this person who's asked the question, I can send you those. And yes, I feel like that's just an introduction into that. But the baseline of where you feel is going to help you. And know that your physical body is always the strongest thing. So even if you have a visit from somebody, we're the strongest presence here in this physical realm. We have a physical vessel that we can connect to. And this makes us stronger than whatever energy is there that visits us. Okay, so Isabel says, hi, do you have any suggestions for asking for visitors in your dreams, like ancestors? Thank you. Loving the discussion. Thank you for asking this question, Isabel. I do have some suggestions. Again, this can happen early in our dreams, in our dream preparation. So sitting down in your nighttime routine and say, for example, having a higher self meditation before you go to sleep, if you want to connect to higher self, or an ancestors meditation as you go to sleep. Writing that intention out. I've literally written in my notes before, tonight I wish to connect to my higher self, or tonight I wish to connect to my guides and my angels. And the more that you're able to direct this energy into those certain visitors, that's when we can call them in. Please know that our visitors also visit in multiple ways. So we might have this desire to see our guide as a person, but maybe our guide actually visits us in the feeling that we're having or the symbol that's there. I've had visitors. This is an example of when I was trying to connect to my spirit babies. Even though I had dreamt about holding a baby, this one particular night where it was very clearly my son, divine, there was an angel cherub that was floating across the road. And when I saw him, I instantly became aware. And so that's how I personally know that I have a visitor, is because my subconscious is so familiar with my dream space now that I can instantly pick up when something is not from that space. And so he presented it himself as an angel. And so if I was expecting to see a baby in my hands, like I had previously seen with my daughter, then I would have expected to have that. And so open your mind to how they can communicate with you through dream spaces, and allowing yourself to, again, be pleasantly surprised and simply reflect on how they can show up. As I go to sleep, if I'm really wanting to connect to a certain guide, so there's a certain guide that's helped me in my earlier business stages, and I believe that her name was Aurora. And as I was falling asleep, I would imagine myself connecting to Aurora, and that would help as well. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So Siobhan says, I've been having dreams of receiving a pounamu and a dream where I was about to receive a chinmoko when I didn't want to. Could this mean that I'm being called to connect with Māori or my Māori ancestors? I definitely believe this. I can feel it strongly in my body, especially if you're receiving a pounamu. If this was my dream, I would definitely believe that I'm being given a gift. And if you've been feeling an expansion in your psychic space, then this is potentially the way. So I want to quickly, with Siobhan's dream, kind of reflect to you how I do the lightning speed. So the first question I'd ask Siobhan is, how did you feel? And that's a big point there when she said, I didn't want to. So she was feeling like she didn't want to receive the moko kauai. So how did you feel? How else did you feel about this dream when you were receiving the pounamu, Siobhan? I'd love to hear. How did you feel? How did you feel when you were receiving your pounamu? So for those who are non-Māori, the pounamu is a green stone that you often see Māori descendants wearing. I believe it's a New Zealand jade that's found in the rivers. And if you're gifted one, it's quite a, if you're gifted a pounamu, it's quite a sacred offering. because it represents our gifts and our ancestors. So I love the design, but my mum gave it to me and she didn't seem too happy. She was very quiet. Okay, there we go. So that's a bit more information we can extract from Siobhan's dream. So she loved it, but in her dream, her mum didn't seem happy. So those are important keys too. So my question next would, of course, be how is this reflected in your everyday life? And if you don't mind me sharing a little bit, because I know some of your experience, Siobhan, from a session that we had together, but there's opportunities for you to reclaim gifts that maybe were passed down by your ancestors, and maybe your mum's not quite comfortable with you having these gifts from those ancestors, especially if she was quiet. So maybe she does have some feelings about you opening, and honestly, it may be protective, or it may be because she doesn't want you to be in that space. I know there's a lot of pain that you and I spoken about in our session. And connecting into, if it were my dream, I would simply reflect on what kind of gifts am I being curious about that my Māori ancestors are giving, specifically psychic or spiritual gifts. And where can I create stronger boundaries for myself when it comes to my gifts, so I don't go too deep into that realm? Because me being a Māori woman as well, I know how intense the Māori tikanga realm is. And so if you're receiving a moko kauai, but you didn't necessarily want it, so the Māori markings on the chin, then I would reflect on where can I set some strong boundaries with my ancestors. Whereas, yes, I want to continue here, but I don't want this. And just creating that boundary for yourself. Say, for example, maybe you can say in your own spirit, in your own energy, you can declare, I do want to continue exploring my psychic gifts in the dream realm, but I do not want to go deep into ancestral healing right now. Maybe it's just, that's an example, and I'm just that's an example of where you can take that information, discern it, and then deconstruct it using your power and yourself as well. Okay, does that make sense? Beautiful. And of course, the last question is, what are you going to do? How are you going to integrate that information? And like I said, it could be as simple as, oh, I'm going to reflect on what I want to explore spiritually and what I don't want to explore spiritually. Okay. But making sure that you ground that information by doing something that helps you feel more empowered in the situation or more uplifted in the situation as well. Okay. All right. I can see you typing again as well. Oh, you're so welcome. So welcome. And that's just an example for those of you watching to see how you can use that process that I've given and how we can quickly take information and interpret it or deconstruct it. I hope I haven't been too glitchy with my camera as well. I can see me glitching a little bit now. But I wanted to share with you a new realm that is opening. And if you remember the dream that I shared in my own personal accounts, how I was handed the envelope, I'm feeling a rebirth of that space and that offering. I've just got my last call for Her Sacred Portal tomorrow, which was my 3-month mentorship for 14 beautiful women who are embodying their version of her. But I can feel intuitive gold is making a rebirth. So as we've tapped into just in the surface of our dreams, our intuition is a really powerful force that I've used for myself, that I've used for the healing of my clients, and is rooted in our ability to tune into our intuition and the gifts that we were gifted from our ancestors or even from our curiosity. So, of course, imagine how we can explore that more deeply if you're in a powerful journey that allows you to go deeper into that. So, intuitive gold is still in its creative process, it's still in its birthing space, but it is a really intimate space that I'm calling in that's going to focus on activating those psychic gifts for the women who are journeying in it. Exploring intuition and being service of others. I've been blessed to help women launch their healing businesses this year and start to bring in financial abundance based on their intuitive gifts, which I'm really wanting to integrate into intuitive gold. And of course, you get access to my other masterclasses and resources like Love and Cards, which is my masterclass where I teach you about using Oracle and tarot cards, cyclical, which helps you with becoming more in tune with your intuitive nature, and all my playlists and my other resource that I have as well. I did run this for last year, which was $650, but I feel like the launching, I feel good with 444. So that's over $200 off to be in this space. And you get all those resources, in-pocket support from me, and also that 4-week journey of really powerful classes. So if you're feeling a real powerful call to activating your intuition and tapping into being of service to yourself and others, then just send me a message and I would love to chat to if this is in alignment with you. But besides that, I just want to thank you, and thank you for giving me a little bit more of your time as well, because we did go over time a little bit, and just know how deeply grateful I feel to have you beautiful women join me live in this space. To those of you who are rewatching the replay, thank you for your trust, and I'd love to be an open space for you to ask any further questions. And if there's any other way that I can support you, please know that you can message me over the next day or the next week or so. I'll most likely respond in a voice message because I've got little ones and you may hear food cooking or little ones running around in the background. But if you have a dream you want to reflect on, or if you have a question that comes up over the next couple of days, just reach out. I'm going to keep the space open for us. Okay. All right, my loves, thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you feel like you need a bit of a close down, you can just stay with me for another minute or so. I just invite you to take a couple deep breaths. Really imagine that all of your energy is coming back to you. Focusing on your breath in, being the channel that brings back any of your energy from people, places, or things you just want to close off for now. I want to invite you to connect with your guides, asking them to close off that energy that was opened at the top of your head. And if you need a bit of extra grounding in that, like me, I'm going to place my right hand over my head and just imagine that I'm really grounding back into my body again. Feeling your heart open and expand with the vitality, with your energy returning back to yourself. And I just want to invite you that with every breath out, that you're actually releasing any of the information that doesn't serve you, and any energy that you may have picked up from the day that just can be left here with the earth. Just imagining that it's melting off your body here, dissolving. So what's left here is this really uplifted, calm, grounded, and centered version of you. Now I'm going to declare all our centers closed off. Any of the energies that have opened from this portal, I'm going to use the strength of my guides and ancestors to really seal those off. And if you want to, you can imagine that you're taking either a big sword of energy, or for me, just a small clip that just clips off any energy that you want to close off from the space. Setting a small intention that for the rest of the night, you carry my heart energy with you. I'm just sending you so much love to settle into the rest of your evening with. Closing off our space with so much gratitude. Thank you to you. Thank you to your guides. And just sealing off our space with an Aki Aki Amine. So much gratitude in my heart. I hope you have a beautiful night. And thank you again for joining me here. Thank you. I'm actually just gonna stop the recording, but how do I do that? There we go. I think it's stopped.